Okay, now I'd like to talk to you about the Pro Series from Ampeg. Pro Series amplifier was basically designed for the demanding professional bass player. Intermediate bass players as well as beginning bass players are not excluded though. The focus on the Pro Series amplifier was we wanted to replicate the sound and tone of an original SVT, but lose some of the weight and some of the maintenance regarded or required in an all-tube amplifier. So that was our focus on the Pro Series. Our first amp that we're going to look at is the SVT-3pro. And the nice thing about the Pro Series amplifiers are you have a MOSFET power section along with an all-tube preamp section. And one thing I'd like to stress about the preamps in all our Pro Series amplifiers is instead of just putting one single 12AX7 in the input, we've actually put a string of different 12AX7s and 12AU7s to make it a true tube preamp. The SVT-3pro was one of our first models in the Pro Series line. It's 450 watts at 4 ohms, and it features a lot of the same plug-and-play features from the Classic series, but as you can see, we also have a 9-band graphic EQ that's defeatable by either front panel switch or by foot switch. Other cool features on the 3pro are obviously you have your high, ultra high, and ultra low boost, like we do, that's pretty famous on most Ampeg amplifiers. You've got your bass control, mid-range and frequency selector. Again, you have 5 different frequencies that you can select from, whether it's 220, 450, 800, 1.6, or 3K, and then you can cut or boost them with the mid-range control. You have a treble control, master volume, and then this feature here, the tube gain. What this does is it controls the voltage to 2 preamp tubes that feed the MOSFETs. You're actually controlling how much voltage those tubes are getting. All the way to the left, or counterclockwise, you're feeding those 2 tubes 100 volts. Your sound's going to get really squished and compressed sounding. All the way to the left is the way to go if you really want to emulate an all-tube amplifier. The power amp gets very sluggish and sounds like an all-tube power section. If you turn it all the way up clockwise, now you're at 300 volts. Those tubes are wide awake. It's like a shot of caffeine in the morning. Now you give them 300 volts, they're going to react a lot faster to what you're feeding them. It's going to react more like a solid-state power amp than an all-tube power amp. So with just this control here, you kind of get the best of both worlds. If you're looking for an all-tube, tubby, bluesy sound, you want to dial that down. And if you're looking for a real fast-acting slap sound, you want to dial it up. Other features on the front of the 3pro is you have a minus 15 dB for active basses. You have a bright switch which boosts the treble again. You also have a mute switch which mutes the input. Everything except for the tuner out is muted. So you can access this either by the front panel or via a foot switch as well. Now I'm going to turn the amp around so we can take a look at the back of the 3. Okay, so now we're looking at the back of the SVT-3pro. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. You have a courtesy outlet so that if you want to run any other rack units, you can plug them into this courtesy outlet instead of having to plug them into another power strip. Again, 2 1/4-inch outs with a single Neutrik speak-on out. Again, I recommend always using the Neutrik speak-on out because of its connectivity and the fact that it just cannot, once it's clicked in there, will not come out of the back of the amplifier. It's locked in there. So anytime with any amplifier, if you have a Neutrik speak-on out or in, I always recommend using that. Moving along, you've got a balanced line output with a control, with a level control, and you can select pre or post EQ, which means pre-EQ means this signal is going to the front of house or going to the mixing board before it gets to the EQ section of the amplifier. So as it comes off your bass, goes into the input, it goes right to the line out. Post EQ means it's going through the amplifier, it's going through the preamp, through the master volume and everything before it gets to the balanced line out. So most sound engineers will always want a pre-EQ sound so that they can tailor your sound up front. Tuner out, if you have a rack mount tuner, you can come out of there, and then foot switch. Again, the foot switch controls the 9-band graphic EQ on the front, and it also controls the mute switch. Effects send and return, and then a power amp in and a preamp out. These are pretty proprietary on most Ampeg heads. Power amp in means if you want to access the power section of the 3pro from an external preamp, you can do so. Or if you want to use the 3pro's preamp to power another power amp, you can come preamp out into that external power amp. So there you have it. There's the 3pro.